All right, we're going to make an assembly of this clamp with this foot attached to that bolt. So let's get started. File, new, and then we're going to select an assembly that appeared on the other page. So it's assembly, English, create. And we're going to place the part here. The part we're going to start with is the clamp and click open. Normally what I would recommend at this point is right click and say place grounded at origin. But for the animation we're going to do, it doesn't seem to be the best option. So instead, we're just going to click out here and then we're going to hit escape so that we can add other parts. So now we're going to place in the bolt. You notice it comes in at the wrong angle. It's going to go in through there. So you can right click and you see it needs to rotate around the red axis, which is the X axis right there. And so that looks a little bit more in line. So we click right there. We'll get to the foot in just a moment. Now, if you want to see the threads better in there, you can go to View, Style, and Shades with Edges like that. One of the first things we need to do is make sure that these don't just run into each other. So do a little bit of constraining there on the assembly. We'll do a constraint. And what we want to do is we want to tell it that the axis of this one of the bolt needs to align with the axis of the hole for the bolt. So the way we're going to achieve that is we're going to make a mate here. So under assembly, this first one says mate. And what you got to do, and this is kind of tricky, by the way, is you got to hover over this until you see an axis in there. And that's difficult when you have threads there. You saw it up here just for a moment. Right. Let's see where I can get it in there. Right there. So it takes a little bit of practice to be able to find that. You don't want to do this or that or this. You want to kind of wait until you find the entire shaft like that. So you have this vertical line. And you want to do the same thing over here so that you can align those two axes. You see that green line going up and down right there. And now you see that those things are aligned. If hit OK, it's going to apply that. So now that these two things right here can move with respect to each other. If I left this grounded, it would have done something. I think it wouldn't allow us to do this next step that we're going to try, and that is to do a constraint with motion. And what we want to do is select this next one right here. We're going to rotate and translate. We want we want one of these to rotate while it's translating up and down. And so I found a couple of different ways we can achieve this. The first one is you select the top surface of this that you want to translate, and then you select the axes of the of this inner area right here for the direction of that rotation. Let's see, I got it right there. And we want to put the pitch of the threads in there, which is 1.5 millimeters. And let's see what what that does. So again, I selected the top surface of the bolt within the axes of the hole. And let's see if that works for us. If I move this up and down, you can see that that pretty much achieves what I was trying to get at here. You grab this and move it up and down like so. I think if you try to do it the other way, it doesn't honor the rotation. So you kind of have to have it in that order. Just to show you what I mean, I'm going to hit Control Z and remove that relationship right there until I get that one off of there. I'm going to do it the opposite way. This time I'm going to go to Motion, Translation, and now I'm going to select the top surface of that. I'm going to try to select the axes of the bolt as my second option. As you can see, it's pretty difficult to find, but I found it. And again, leave the pitch in there as 1.5 millimeters. And let's see what happens now. Okay, that one rotates the entire thing around, and then this one doesn't do anything. So it's kind of like, which one do you prefer? I can't seem to get it exactly right where you push this one down and then the bolt rotates. And that's because I'm holding on to it at the same time. So I prefer the other one. So I'm going to delete that one right there. Do it one more time for constraint. Motion. We're going to translate. And what we want to do is we want to translate this, and it's going to rotate also around this axis for the hole right there. And the pitch again, 1.5 millimeters. And so what we're going to see here is if I move this up and down, I get that motion that I was talking about. Now what we want to do is put a foot on the end of that clamp. You see that? I mean, you can still do this. It just doesn't rotate like it really should until you do this thing. Let's go back to the home position over here. Looking pretty good. Now let's get the foot in there. The foot is basically the bottom of the bolt. So there's the foot that we made in class. You see its orientation is not correct. So I can right click on it. I think I wanted to rotate around the Z axis. Uh, that did not seem to do it. Let me think about it again. Okay, I can't really tell. See if I can zoom in on this. I want to rotate it around. Maybe it's the x-axis. I can't really tell from that view. And that's the wrong way. So I guess I just rotate it again and again. Is that the right way? Got it. Now I can click, put it into place. I don't want another copy. And there's a couple of things we want to do here. We want to make sure that this foot is basically screwed all the way in and basically stuck, you know? It's almost like you welded it on the end, even though most of the time you put a ball joint there instead. So we're going to do two mates. One of them is we're going to put a constraint assembly. You can hover over this and you see where it says mate. And we want to basically have that bottom surface touch this bottom surface right there. And you see it did a pretty good job of that. If you click OK, you can see they're not quite there. It just made them coplanar. So now we need to make them coaxial because you can see it's off. Let's see, let me get back here. Yeah, they need to be concentric. So let's do another constraint. And you remember how we do this, right? You find the axes of the um, I guess the foot, find the axes of the nut, and I hope that's the axes of the nut right there. And we'll see if that worked. So then it doesn't look like that worked at all. I must have clicked on the wrong thing there. So let's try that again. Now, what I could also maybe do is just pull this up. I wonder if I can pull it up into outer space so it just kind of gets far away from it. Yeah, you can actually do it that way. Because parts are going to move through each other here unless we do dynamic motion, which we'll do later this semester. But let's go ahead and go constraint. That way I can see this axis here. Let's see what kind of constraint I'm going to do. I want to make it fixed. So not the angle one, but I want the axes of this one, right? See if we can get a hold of it right there. This is the tricky part. And then find the axes of this one. Sometimes you have to move around. I think I saw it right there. Okay, let's see how that's going to play. If I move this up and down, that seems to be fine. If I spin them, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, they shouldn't spin with respect to each other. Right there, that shouldn't happen. So we're going to try to align their planes to see if that will work. So this last constraint is going to be about the plane of the bolt right here. And the one we want is maybe this vertical plane right there. And then we want to get the foot. And we also want to have its vertical plane there aligned as well. Okay. Now, if I try to move these now, they're going to be stuck together, which is really what I want. Let's see if we can bring it back together, though, and put them all back in together like this. Center it up. And now if I move this up and down, you can see that they're moving together. So that's not really that bad. I think it's probably the best we can do at this point. I think I've tried to do an animation like this before, but I'm not sure I was able to pull it off. We can try to do an animation, and that would be by going to constrain, and I guess we don't really want a, yeah, okay, I think what we're going to do is make just like a, should we do like a rotation or something? Hmm. Let's try to make this one move away from this one. Now, if we apply it right now, you'll see that, oh, that's going to be broken. So that didn't work very well. Thought that might be a good way to do it. Another thing we can try though is if we make this one be at an angle with respect to this one here. So right now it's at 0 degrees. It says you might have three objects. We just have two. It'll align them so you can say, okay. Now, if I do this, nothing's going to happen. It just won't let me move it. But what I can try is I can try to drive it now. So I can go from there to, let's say, 1,000 degrees and just see what happens when I press play. Okay, not really what I expected, but let's see if it is actually going up or down from here. We can speed up the process by going down here and say, let's go 10 degrees. Okay, so let's see. I think it's crashing here, or I clicked the wrong button. All right, let's reset and play again. You can see it's just basically spinning on its own. That's not really what we were looking for. I thought that that might actually perform what we wanted to, but I think it's just a limitation of this animation that we're doing here. I really wanted it to rotate, but then also go up and down. And it doesn't look like that's doing that. Yeah, it's just basically spinning. However, if you go over here and you basically delete that constraint that we were kind of using as a motor, so delete like that, and get back here, then it's back to what we want. So it's not perfect, but you can see what we're trying to achieve here. All right. So let's see. Do we want to do one more thing? Can we make an animation with this? Let's see. I don't think we can make an animation with this one here necessarily. We could try this snipping tool and see if it will let us do an animation. So you click right here and probably go like that, or maybe not. Was I supposed to press play or something? Oh, wait, I had to new. Okay. So basically, I think it's going to take animation of the entire screen, it looks like, unless I say record area rectangular, and we just want that. Okay, and then we say start, and we move this back and forth like that. And I think it's counting down. I'll try to move it slower. And we can go over here and let's see, where is the record stop right there? And let's just see how that looks. Okay, not too bad. Then we can just right click and hopefully save this. Okay, let's get it to stop playing. Right click and save. No. How about here? How do you save it? Oh, how about you use the save icon? And you can see it's going to save as an MP4 file. So when you need to prove that you perform the animation and the assembly, this would be the way to do it, is to make a recording and then upload that into D2L, just like that. We'll try to make smoother animations moving forward, but this is a good start for what we're trying to achieve. I'll see you in the next video.